Good evening and welcome to the May 29th, 2025 Board of Adjustment. On our agenda tonight, we have a public hearing, but our first item of business is approval of minutes from April 22nd, 2025. Anybody have any corrections or comments to the meeting?
I move we approve the minutes of the 22 April 2025 meeting.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? I'll start with Marshall.
I'm going to abstain. I wasn't here.
Okay.
Aye.
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 Very good. The next item on the agenda is a public comment period where you have a time limit of 15 minutes. Each person can have 3 minutes of that 15 to speak to us on any matter that is not related to anything that we are currently hearing tonight. Do I have any takers? Hearing none. Item number 3. We have a public hearing proposed for a conditional use permit at 943 Maybell Street.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Before you tonight, we have a public hearing. It's a conditional use permit application for a type 2 accessory home occupation at 943 Maybell Street. This is the subject property that's center of your screen, highlighted in red. You can see Blaine Street running north-south, flanking the property to the east, and then Maybell east-west here just to the north of the property. This is the National Guard Armory to the southeast, as well as the fairgrounds property. So the applicant's Molly Rizzuto, and she's requesting a CUP for the type 2 accessory home occupation in order to incorporate retail sales hours into an existing in-home bakery. So the retail space will be referred to as the Goose House Bakery Shed Shop and will be operated out of an 80 square foot accessory structure. The shed shop is proposed to be open approximately 6 hours per week for the public to purchase prepackaged to-go bakery items displayed inside. And then the hours of operation, Thursdays from 3 to 6 p.m. and Sundays from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. So just a closer view of the property. You can see it's just a single family home currently exists on the property, primarily surrounded by single family homes as well. You can see Maybell and Blaine. And then this is the site plan that the applicant submitted. A shed has been moved in. So this is the shed shop, the yellow square at the southeast corner of the property there. So these were the plans that were submitted. So 80 square feet, got a French door style in the front. And then this is a view from that intersection of Maybell and Blaine looking southwest. And then this is a view of the shed. So the zoning configuration of the area, it's in the moderate density, single family residential, which is our R2 zone, primarily surrounded by R2 as well. And then as you transition to the Armory and the fairgrounds, it's R3 zoning district. So the R2 zone appropriately applied where the following circumstances are present. Single family dwellings predominate the area. Terrain's not harshly irregular and smaller lot sizes can be accommodated without extensive earthwork. Utilities and other public facilities are adequate for the densities allowed. And the existing lot development patterns and policies embodied in the comprehensive plan also guide the application of the zone. And then really just a single family zone, but we also allow some market and community gardens. So some of that urban agricultural uses, group childcare facilities and public parks and recreation facilities. And type 2 home occupations are a conditional use within R2. So brings us to what a type 2 accessory home occupation is. It's a non-residential use conducted by the inhabitants of the dwelling with up to one additional on-site employee and or with on-site customer service provided upon the subject property, and where the conduct of the use does not change the character or nature of the dwelling or the surrounding area. So we have standards within the code for accessory home occupation. The first ones are outdoor activities. So all activities shall be conducted wholly within the principal structure or a permitted accessory structure thereto. So in this case, the shed shop. External storage or display of goods or equipment shall be prohibited. So there's no outdoor activities being proposed, and all the retail sales will occur in the main house or the shed shop structure. Appearance of structure in the site, the dwelling and the subject property shall remain residential in character, and the accessory home occupation shall not be discernible from the exterior of the principal structure or permitted accessory structure. No alterations of the structure or subject property which would change the residential appearance of the dwelling and subject property shall be permitted. So it provides some examples of prohibited alterations, which would be parking lots, paving of setbacks, external signage, not otherwise permitted by the code, or adding commercial exterior lighting. So the applicant has essentially met this requirement. There's no exterior alterations that would change the residential character. Vehicles, not more than one vehicle shall be discernible as being used or associated with the home occupation. So there's no vehicles, just a typical personal use vehicles associated with the home occupation. So that would meet that criteria. Deliveries and or pickups of supplies or products associated with the accessory home occupation shall be allowed only between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. local time. The only deliveries being proposed here are just typical residential, FedEx, USPS, and UPS deliveries to the front door of the house. Nuisances, unless otherwise permitted by law, no accessory home occupation shall produce any detectable fumes, odors, dust, heat, noise, vibration, glare, electromagnetic field, electrical interference, or other effects outside the dwelling, which is incompatible with the characteristics of a residential zoning district. So there's no nuisance being identified here, except maybe good smells emanating from the dwelling. So with that, staff recommends approval of the application for the CUP for the type 2 accessory home occupation at 943 Maybell Street with no conditions. And then, of course, in accordance with the board's decision, direct staff to prepare the RCS document. Certainly be able to answer any questions you might have.
Marshall.
Yeah, Mike, I got a couple questions and perhaps you can answer them. If not, we can ask the applicant. I noticed when you showed the site plan there, it looked like both corners on Maybell and Blaine Street, since it was a corner home, that there was no parking on either Maybell or Blaine adjacent to the property. Is that correct?
It's just, we have some, just because of the intersection, there is parking in front of the structure on Maybell. So you see the yellow.
Okay,
So it transitions here. It's essentially just for the site triangle where there's no parking.
okay,
And then there's a bus stop on Blaine, but there is room for, so the bus stop begins here and then goes to the corner. But there is room for one on-street parking space before you get to the next approach for another house.
great. Thanks, Mike. And the other question I have, as far as the city is concerned, aside from zoning and building, are there other requirements like from the health department that have to be installed if, depending on what we do tonight, but there's other government institutions that need to be involved in this?
I can just speak to the building department. So the building department, electrical inspector has been in the structure, and I think everything's up to code at this point. Maybe the applicants could speak to the health department requirements. I'm not
Okay.
exactly sure on those.
Great. I'll ask during the public hearing. So thanks, Mike.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mike. At this time, we'll open the public hearing with the applicant making their opening remarks.
All right, good evening. Goose House Bakery began in 2015 in Moscow. In those 10 years, I've been primarily a home bakery, serving our community through local delivery and home pickups. For 6 of those years, I also had wholesale accounts with One World Cafe and the Kenworthy Performing Arts Center. Last year, I decided to forgo the wholesale side of my operation to be able to better serve folks directly and in a more accessible way. In brainstorming ways in which I'd be able to grow the business and still keep things small on a small scale, and can continue to make each product with love and attention, I decided on the Shed Shop. The proposed Goose House Bakery Shed Shop will be a small outpost of my existing home bakery, where I'd sell home-baked menu items directly to walk-in customers. The Shed Shop will also be a spot where customers who've placed orders from the website can pick up their prepaid bakery orders. The proposed times in which the Shed Shop will be open to the public are Thursdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. and Sundays between 9 to noon. The Shed Shop itself is facing Blaine Street on the corner of Maybell and Blaine and has street parking directly in front, as well as along Blaine Street on both sides. There's a bus stop in front, north of the Shed Shop to the corner along the sidewalk. In constructing and placing the Shed Shop, I complied with all building requirements for an accessory structure, including setbacks from the property line. The result is an accessory building that is tucked away, blends in with, and is consistent with the character of its surroundings. The Shed Shop is easily accessed from Blaine Street, the Blaine Street sidewalk, the bus stop, and the surrounding neighborhood in general. I expect the existing modest foot traffic along Blaine Street sidewalk to increase slightly during opening hours and to add to our neighborhood's walkable nature without posing any nuisance. Car traffic as well may increase slightly during opening hours. However, with the ample availability of street parking along Blaine Street and Maybell Street, I anticipate minimal traffic-related issues. The intersection of Maybell Street and Blaine Street can sometimes be tricky, though. The intersection site triangle from the east side Maybell Street stop sign includes the fence and vegetation of our neighbors to the north, so sometimes left turns across traffic from Maybell onto Blaine require extra time. The view from the east side Maybell Street stop sign to the south toward the Shed Shop is relatively clear, even with a bus at the bus stop and/or a car parked in front of the Shed Shop on Blaine. The West Side Street, Maybell Street stop signs site triangle is clear in each direction. As mentioned previously, the Shed Shop's character is consistent with the neighborhood, is easily accessed from the sidewalk, and can accommodate expected customer traffic. I've planted a garden in front, including small and medium-sized shrubs and trees, which when established will create even more visual continuity. The community enthusiasm for the Goose House Bakery Shed Shop has been overwhelming, honestly, and I'm so appreciative of all the folks who voiced their support for this project, some of whom have generously taken the time to write in to the city for this hearing and even to be here tonight. Many of the comments I hear bolster the idea that the expansion of Goose House through the Shed Shop will go a long way to fulfill Moscow's desire for a well-loved bakery, neighborhood bakery. The Shed Shop is situated subtly, adds character and beauty to the neighborhood, and in the words of our neighbor who lives directly across the street on Blaine Street and has this particular view that you see now, quote, "Congratulations on your bakery shop and welcoming garden area. Everything is so neat and attractive, all very inviting," end quote. That's from Barbara Means in Moscow. The Shed Shop will be for retail sales only. There will be no baking or food preparation inside the shop, no on-site table service, no commercial deliveries made to the shop. Its appearance, as seen here, is subtle, and so will be any activity inside and associated with the Shed Shop. Inside the 80 square foot Shed Shop is a selection of packaged products, including candied nuts, house-made baking extracts, birthday candles, cards, gift packages, and a large assortment of cake cups. Inside the front case will be an array of freshly baked and packaged scones, cakes, bars, tarts, sampler boxes, minis, and other pastries. I plan to offer a rotating selection of items and always carry a balanced mix of customer favorites and new treats as well. The Shed Shop space is bright, cheerful, and is designed with a natural customer flow in mind for an efficient, streamlined, and enjoyable experience. I'm confident that if this conditional use permit is approved, the Goose House Bakery Shed Shop will positively impact the neighborhood and will enhance the best parts of Moscow and the surrounding area. Our community's commitment to supporting local businesses, our community's respect and appreciation for artisans, and our community's connectedness with our neighbors among them. Thanks so much for your time this evening. And at this time, I welcome your questions.
Yeah, Molly, you may have addressed it partially, but could you answer the question about the health department
Yes.
inspection?
So as a home bakery, and for the last 10 years, I've been a home bakery, And I am part of the cottage industry business, so therefore not regulated by the health department in that domain. When I was doing wholesale, the health department did inspect, however, not the premises, my home bakery, because I leased commercial space in a commercial kitchen, and so the health department did inspect that. But for home bakery, and that was because it was wholesale. But for the home bakery, it is under the cottage industry business standards.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for the applicant?
I'd just like to make a comment. I thought that was one of the best presentations from an applicant that I had seen.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
All right.
Could I really briefly add on to the your question about being inspected by the health department? I am fully insured with business insurance, so just in case anything goes awry. So
Thank you very much.
yeah, thank you very much.
At this time, we'd like to ask anyone who'd like to give testimony of a positive nature for the applicant. Please come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and let us know what you think.
Hi, Nils Peterson, 841 Travoy Way, Moscow. I own a guest house, bed and breakfast, and I also own a commercial kitchen. It was the kitchen that hosted Molly for 6 years. During that time, I, at several points, asked if she wanted to expand to brick and mortar. And the answer was no, until now. And so I am delighted to see that she has found a path that she wanted to go forward to expand. I put in your packet an article which was on accessory commercial units. We have in our code the idea of the accessory dwelling unit. We've had it since, I'm looking at you, Mike, 2010.
2013, I think.
Okay. The accessory commercial unit is a parallel idea. That is not the topic that you are addressing tonight. You are going to do a conditional permit of a specific instance. Staff has laid out the relevant criteria quite nicely. I look at those and go, that could be code material. That we could have this ACU as a standard thing. So I want you to, I know what you got to decide tonight, but I want to open a broader conversation. I'm in support of this, and I'm in support of a broader idea. We all know that there's somebody doing a motorcycle shop or something somewhere around town. We all know of that bootleg operation. Let's turn those legal. Let's make all of those possible as accessory commercial units as well. So that's really a message for you and your boss. But I'm in support of this application very much.
And for you, I would
Okay.
say, advance yourself, you know exactly what I'm going to say. Advance yourself to the 3-minute time limit on the Planning and Zoning Commission and get something on their agenda.
Thank you. I can do that. All right.
Good evening, Dulcie Kirsting Lark, 803 East 8th Street. We are so glad that we are lovely neighbors in the Swedetown neighborhood with Molly and Jim. And I just want to express how excited we are to potentially have this in our neighborhood. I've known Molly since I think just about when she came to town. Like I told a few of you, I'm a dessert enthusiast. And so as soon as I saw her social media, I was all over it. And I've been buying things since she was actually in the house with the goose. And I have to say, Molly is incredibly generous. Many of you probably know, I've worked with a lot of nonprofits in Moscow, and she is always willing to donate to our auctions, make a cake for a dessert dash, all that sort of stuff. And so I think the fact that Molly and her family have been in our community for a decade and really invested in it, I really would love to see that we can support her in this next step of her business. I think we will all be richer for it. And if we all can just walk to her shop, that's probably for the best. We won't have to worry about parking, and then we can pick up one extra treat on the walk because we're walking. So I really hope that you support this application.
Thank you. Anyone else in favor? Anyone opposed? Anyone of a general nature? Going once, going twice. I will close the public hearing. And just for the record, do you have a number of the letters in our packet of how many were in favor? I think there was only one opposed. Okay. Would somebody count them for me just so we have a number?
I thought it was 27.
Yeah, it was a ridiculously
27
large
and
amount.
then-
I've never seen that many. On the desk.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right, and so I will read, first one is from Jen Hebert. To whom it may concern, I would like to express my wholehearted support of the proposed Goose House Bakery at 943 Maybell. And goes on to say that she has established herself as a provider of high-quality baked goods, which I attest to. And it was established in 2015. I've seen photos of the shed shop, and I often pass the location, and it is in the neighborhood. It looks lovely. And then Nancy Ruth Peterson writes to tell us, as a nearby resident of the bakery shed shop, I am strongly in favor of the establishment because it will only enhance our area. Traffic flow changes will be minimal. As a commercial enterprise being established, it's not the first on the block, and it's within sight of a bank, the county DMV, and a hardware store, and a grocery store, and many other businesses. And she also supports it.
So I count 28 letters up and one
I got
down.
28 as well.
28, so there were pre-printed 28 in favor and 1 against. Does anyone have any questions of the, oh, yes, do you have any rebuts to anything? Or anything you'd like to add? Okay.
Don't screw it up right
Discussion. Anyone?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm generally in favor of home occupations and businesses like this. And like always, my concern is the neighbors, and that doesn't seem to be a concern. It seems like there's way more positive in favor of it. And I think it's a great thing for the community. And I would support approval.
Absolutely. I think it's a wonderful thing and it's a great product too. I've had the pleasure of sampling some of it.
That's bribery.
I know. Should have waited till after the minutes or something.
Steve, anything from you?
You're supposed, if you're going to bribe people, you're supposed to do it to all of us. Okay, cookies.
Yeah.
Anything on that side?
I'm very much in favor of cottage industries as well. And I think that it speaks well for the people that have sent in written letters in support of this proposal. So it's just, I think it's a positive thing for the neighborhood.
I think they've done an excellent job working with the character of the neighborhood and ensuring that it's not going, I mean, there's really no changes to the parking, the traffic flow, the neighborhood character. It seems like in addition to adding something lovely to the neighborhood, it's also, it doesn't create any issues or challenges or anything. So
I just want to say that I've already staked out my parking spot. I think it's an awesome idea, so I'm all in favor. And with saying that, somebody like to make a motion? Marshall?
Yeah, I would say we should approve the condition. I would like to approve the conditional use permit and ask staff to prepare the necessary findings and relevant criteria for us to preview and see at our next meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
And we'll start at that side. Oh, is there a further discussion? Sorry. We'll start with you.
Aye.
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 The ayes have it. When's your opening day?
Well, that's my question to you.
Do they have to wait for an appeal period, Mike?
It's their own risk, but usually we allow like this type of thing to open up prior to the appeal period expiring. So
He's already in business.
Will you have some of Neil's sourdough bread there? He's pretty, he's very secretive about it.
10
Um,
days.
So, and then, of course, that process would be, it would be appealed to the city council. It wouldn't
Yes.
come back to us.
Correct.
And
Don't think that's.
truthfully, I can't see the city council having any problems either. So unless something absolutely horrendous were to pop up or Godzilla was to show up or something, yeah.
You know, my previous life, I was a building inspector, and I was always directed that you cannot take bribes unless you can eat them on the spot.
I figured they would be considered bribes and that we wouldn't have free samples tonight, so. However, I would have been more than willing to pay for a sample. And I will. All right, anything else from staff?
I move we adjourn.
Yep.
Well, our next meeting is next
Oh.
Tuesday at 5:30 here. Is it Wednesday at 5:30 here? Okay, to approve the relevant criteria. Will everybody be able to be there?
I'm doubtful.
You're doubtful.
I think I said yes.
I said yes. You
I'll
guys?
be there.
Okay, so we'll have a quorum. All right, with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn post haste.
So move.
Second?
Second.
Yeah, all done.